Hello and welcome everyone to Sessions by the Herb Life. So it's February now. You've probably spent the whole month of January in New Year's resolution mode, like me. And maybe, like me, your dedication is starting to wane. So we thought this would be a great opportunity to have two cannabis fitness enthusiasts tell you all about how they train with cannabis. I mean, what better way to get you motivated than to add a dash of green into your smoothie? Now, this topic is actually one that is quite close to my heart, as it's how I first started working in the world of cannabis. I worked with Bethany Ray, the founder and CEO of Flower and Freedom, a cannabis company, or movement I should say, that looks at educating people about cannabis as part of an active lifestyle. And it was at Flower and Freedom that I learnt the phrase, "Have you heard about cannabis for fitness?" which was a great way to spark someone's attention and get a few raised eyebrows. One of the best things about working in cannabis is actually learning about how and why others started using cannabis. There's so much to this plant, and it really has the ability to make changes in people's lives, which is why I'm stoked that Lane Britnell, who is a strength coach, will be co-hosting today's show. Lane actually started using cannabis to treat the symptoms of Crohn's, and without it, he says that he wouldn't even be able to work out. But I'll let him tell you more about that in just a moment. Before we go any further, I would like to just take a quick moment to thank our brand collaborators, Hemper and Sonoma Seeds. Are you thinking of growing your own cannabis? Well, grow organically with Sonoma Seeds. You'll find the best cannabis strains from around the world at sonomaseeds.com. Hemper. It's the best 420 subscription service and online head shop. Their experts hand-pick 10 items every month to pack into your Hemper box, delivering $100 of value for only $29.99 right to your door. All boxes are shipped in plain packaging since Hemper values your privacy as much as their own. Visit hemper.co for more info. As usual, I'd like to appeal to your great big heart and ask that you leave a review on whatever platform you are using to listen to our show. It makes a world of difference to us, and it takes less than 60 seconds of your time. As a thank you, each episode we select 2 of our reviewers to get a free copy of the latest edition of the Herb Life print magazine, which is available for pre-order right now at theherblifestyle.com. You'll also go into the draw to win a PAX vaporizer at the end of the season, plus some other goodies. So make sure you check us out online at theherblifestyle.com and follow us on whichever social channels we have in common. We're always putting out content to keep you up to speed on what's what and who's who in cannabis. So without further ado, Bethany and Lane.
Hi guys, I'm Bethany Ray.
I'm Lane Britnell.
And we're really excited to get into a cannabis and fitness conversation with you. We just vaped a little Jack Herrera in a vape pen to get comfortable, relaxed for this conversation. And yeah, Lane, cannabis and fitness. I mean, that's something that I've been talking about at Flower and Freedom for a while now. For me, cannabis and fitness is really cannabis for both my mental fitness and my physical fitness, because I feel that the two are really intertwined. One of the primary reasons that I even exercise is for my mental health. And I feel like that's really one of the primary reasons that I consume cannabis, for my mental health. But then secondary would be consuming cannabis for pain and recovery and exercising to reduce pain in the body. I feel like I have more aches and pains when I'm not exercising regularly.
Absolutely.
So yeah, is that going into this cannabis and fitness conversation? I think we'll touch on both, like cannabis for fitness physically, but also cannabis for mental fitness. Do you feel as well that the two are intertwined in your life?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I hear you with exercising for mental health. I definitely get depressed when I'm not exercising, and that's something that seems to just keep me going. And it's a huge part of why I train is for mental health.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really the same for me. If I don't exercise for a few days, I can feel myself feeling a little bit low and a little bit down, and it's the exercise that picks me back up. And cannabis can help balance that, but trying not to lean on cannabis like a crutch, more using it to support as one of the tools in my self-care toolkit. But exercise being like almost the number one.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think, look, one of the things we talk about cannabis and fitness and why I love having this conversation is to actually get into the products, the cannabis products that we consume in our routines, how much we consume, why we would consume a specific product. I think that's where the conversation can get really interesting and where it's almost like a contemporary form of education, this conversation. So I'd love to know, and I'm sure the audience would love to hear a little bit about your fitness routine, like what your week looks like. I think the way that you and I exercise is probably really different, and also how you would start to integrate cannabis into that.
Right, for sure.
You're a daily consumer, I would assume.
Yeah. So I guess when it comes to cannabis consumption, I am a medical user. First, I started using cannabis after getting very sick with Crohn's disease. Crohn's took me out of sport. I used to be elite level pole vaulter and track and field athlete. And it was after losing my health and trying to get back on the track, then as a medical cannabis user, I couldn't help but notice the overlap between the cannabis I was using for the nausea for my Crohn's disease. I found myself not being nauseated, doing really hard running workouts and stuff like that I used to do as a track athlete. So I never did end up getting back to track and field, but through my fitness journey of regaining my health and building my body back from Crohn's disease, it was first using cannabis for Crohn's, but I couldn't help but notice the pain relief benefits, the nausea help, the help with appetite to recover from training, and there was a lot of overlap there. And now someone who works as a strength coach and who works with athletes and people trying to get in shape, I can see all of these benefits that cannabis has to offer us, as whether we're athletes or weekend warriors or yogis or anyone who's looking to live a fit lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like the way we work out is quite different. So you do some really intense type workouts to the point of wanting to throw up?
No, I don't train. I don't prefer to train that way. Bethany's referencing. I made a post. I did my level 2 kettlebell snatch test this weekend. So I was in Seattle. I'm certified with Strong First. It's a strength training organization, and for the kettlebell certification, we need to do 100 snatches in 5 minutes with a 50-pound kettlebell. That's not how I enjoy training. It's just something we have to do. I actually didn't have any cannabis before that, and I think that would have helped a lot. But generally, I like to keep it under 5 reps. I like to keep things... I do like lifting as heavy as possible, but I'll do anywhere from usually 2 or 3 repetitions of something, and then I'll take a break for 5 minutes, and then I'll go back at it. So I really like heavy kettlebell presses. I like doing deadlifts and squats, and within kettlebells, I'm very much attracted to the old-time strongman stuff. If you've ever seen those old photos of, the guy in the leotard with the curly mustache and doing that types of stuff, I get a kick out of that stuff. Mm-hmm. But, part of being a coach is having to practice what I preach, and I do have to hold a certain level of fitness. So a couple times a year I have to do that snatch test.
Wow. So you say the main way you train would be strength.
Yes.
And then do you do some yoga to help with stretching and recovery, or do you feel like it's
probably no? I don't have a formal yoga practice. I probably should. I love the benefits of yoga. I have practiced it in the past, and it's hard.
Yeah. The main ways that I exercise, before we both get into how we consume cannabis alongside our fitness routine, I would say I run semi-regularly, so once or twice a week. I feel like I'm an amateur runner. I feel like I run primarily for mental health.
Nice.
And then I do a yoga, but it's usually more of a yoga boot camp. I actually do this hot yoga classes where we're almost doing like a boot camp class in the hot yoga room. It's pretty brutal. In the summer, I'm out hiking, mountain biking, road biking, or water sports. So in the summer, a lot of my fitness comes from outdoor sports.
Awesome.
So I feel like I'm a little bit more varied. I do like to pick up some weights, but more as part of these little classes or doing a little session. And try and do some yoga for stretching, because I am having some issues with some chronic pain in my hips and in my knees and my joints. So I try and stretch it out a lot with yoga, but again, I feel like I could really improve the amount that I'm doing that, and that would actually overall improve both my mental health and physical fitness. But yeah, getting into how we consume cannabis alongside that. I'm always really curious about the strength training and how cannabis is really helping you as a heavy lifter, how your cannabis maybe pre, post, and during, how it relates to actually help improve strength or speed recovery. What does a typical day or workout look like for you, what you're consuming, I guess, cannabis and food-wise,
right? But
make me a bit more focused on the cannabis.
Yeah, for sure. As far as pre-benefits, I usually, my favorite right now is, and still, I've posted about this before, is the Ganja-wise high terpene sweet skunk resin. So it's a live resin product. It is a BHO product. They do an amazing job of cleaning it up. And when you open the jar, it just smells like a lemony pine forest.
Yeah, I smelled those. It's so
it's
good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I really like that. It's very uplifting.
So you're consuming that before you work out, or is it recovery?
Typically before.
Wow. So before you go in and lift or kettlebell?
Yeah.
And this is just you're just in a studio and you're going to do your own, you're following your own routine, your own training?
Yeah.
Really interesting, because I think it's so interesting how people consume cannabis so differently, because if I did that, it would be very, very different result. But for you, that works for you. And what does that do for you? Does that give you energy?
Right. No, I wouldn't say energy so much. My pre-choices for cannabis are usually things that, if I were sitting still, would make me quite anxious. That one's an exception, I think, because of the high pining. But other strains I've gone for, things like Sour Diesel. There's this Golden Gauge that I've grown before that are very racy, very. They can even induce anxiety in some people, including myself, if I don't have a way to diffuse it per se, or something to do with it. So
would consuming that help you have more endurance or last longer? Why would you consume? Why would you consume it versus not consuming anything? Right.
I do get a bit of a mental uplifted effect from it. I just want to say it's getting high, but in the same way. I'm excited to talk about this because it's the same way we're getting high on pre-workout supplements or our favorite music before the gym. I'm a metalhead, and I come from a world of athletes where everyone's all everyone's all full of something as far as supplements and stuff like that. And that getting high, I think we need to take away the negative stigma from it and the negative connotation, because it's simply just accessing a different mental state.
Right.
You're using, whether it's caffeine or cannabis, you're using a tool to access a different state. So that's what I'm doing is, when I'm, tugging on the vape pen or a joint or whatever, it's usually with my coffee in hand, and that's my pre-workout, and I'm trying to I'm trying to get high and trying to get elevated in a sense that everything's just dialed up a notch. And that's why I like the Sweet Skunk from Ganja Wise. It's a very up strain. It doesn't seem to make me sedated like a lot of other strains would. So it seems to get me inspired, get me energized, more of a mental energized than physical. I don't think there's any cannabis that's really going to make you physically energized. I haven't experienced that yet. Right. Maybe some would disagree with that. But it definitely gets my head buzzing in a positive way and uplifts my mood.
I think our physical energy comes from our mental energy.
Absolutely.
And I guess just to play off how you consume pre-workout, to show how different my consumption might be. And I'm a really regular cannabis consumer, but such a light consumer. So for me, before a workout, I'm much more likely to spray a sublingual spray under my tongue, or oil drops that are a 25 to 1 CBD to